Hey there. So, who's in charge of your standards when you are dating in the post divorce world? Well, you might think, well, of course I am. I don't know about that. I think it's your nervous system that is the boss, not necessarily your mind. Tune in today to hear more. So, who sets the standards for you when you're dating? And what are your standards? Who's really in charge, or what part of your body is in charge? Interesting questions, right? Well, actually, today's episode is called Your Nervous System Sets Your Standards for Dating. And you might think, how is that possible? But that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to dive into when you are feeling regulated, when you are feeling dysregulated, and how that really influences the choices you're making when you're swiping. How could it be possible? But it is possible. So before we get started, I'm going to remind you that I'm really excited because I am going to be doing my podcast episodes with this new format, and I call it the GPS. You know how like you have a GPS in your car and it takes you where you want to go. And also too, I have for many years said, well, the name of my practice is the Rose Relationship Learning Center. And I've said, because relationships don't come with directions. So your GPS is really going to help you get to where you want to be relationally so that you can find the kind of partner that you want to have. You can go on the kind of dates that you want to have and experience the kind of love that you deserve. So the GPS system here that I'm going to be using moving forward, G stands for getting clear about what you want, otherwise known as grounding. And today's episode on the nervous system is really going to be focused on how to ground yourself in a way so that you feel really ready to choose a partner or a variety of dates that are in line with what you value, your standards, your morals, and have a successful dating journey that will hopefully lead to what you want. And maybe that's a long-term relationship or even marriage for some of you. So the G is for getting clear or grounding. The P in the GPS is about preparing for love and kind of positioning. So you get in the car, you're going to get clear, like, okay, what's around me? I'm going to position my hands on the wheel. 10 and 2, like they taught you when you were taking driving lessons. And then the S is for stepping forward or steering the wheel of your life. And I will use this metaphor over and over again, but I want you to know that there will be a number of episodes that are specifically focused, like today's, on grounding, a number of episodes that will be focused on preparing for love, and a number of episodes on the stepping forward. And what does that mean to you? And what does that look like? How do you steer the dating journey of your life? So let's get into this. So we're talking about your nervous system, and that's not something we may think about and or really relate to our dating. What does that have to do with it? Well, I can tell you for myself, when I got divorced over a decade ago, I didn't realize, but I had a lot of anxiety about dating, about what I was even looking for. And I was very dysregulated. I thought I was regulated. I was doing, my own therapy and working through my own stuff, but I didn't realize that my decisions were being made from anxiety and fear. And so I'm so grateful that there's so much opportunity out there and there's so much good information out there. And I'm really happy to be able to offer this to you so that you don't have to repeat the same mistakes that I made. I wish that this podcast existed when I was newly divorced. So talking about standards, even just the word standards sounds like, well, who are you? Like, what are your standards? Like, what do you think, you're better than other people? Well, no, but it is about being intentional about what it is you're seeking so that you don't put yourself in a situation that just doesn't fit with who you are and what you want. So when we talk about standards, I don't want you to live in your mind. I want you to know that your standards do live in your nervous system. And if your nervous system is off kilter, not regulated, like mine was not, and you're more in survival mode, and I think I was for sure, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, like I've talked about in other episodes, you will be drawn towards a partner that feels familiar because you're not making a decision based on your best, most evolved self. You're making a decision based on past unresolved traumas. So, and just because something is or somebody is familiar, you hear this all the time on, you ever watch these? I'm guilty. Okay, I'm guilty. I'm guilty. I do watch Love is Blind sometimes. Okay, on Netflix. Definitely guilty. I find it intriguing, and yet it's certainly not a setup for successful relationships. It seems from what I've seen. But my point being, have you ever seen people say, or maybe you've experienced this, I feel like I've known you my whole life. Like, I know I just met you an hour ago or a week ago or a month ago, but I feel like I know you so well. And that is oftentimes because that person sitting in front of you reminds you unconsciously of probably one of your parents and maybe the parent that you have unresolved issues with. So this is definitely something to look at. We want to be choosing dates and a partner that is based on, again, being regulated, intention, consciousness, not familiar, because familiar doesn't necessarily equal healthy. If you think about it, after a divorce is often profoundly traumatic on many levels, emotionally, financially, socially, logistically, kids, so many different things. So you've gotten through this divorce and now you're thinking, okay, I'm going to start dating. But again, if you are not, your nervous system is not regulated, it's not calm, it's not grounded, you're not going to be making the same decisions that you would if it were calm. And they're probably not going to be great decisions if you're not coming from a place of calm. But who's calm after a divorce, right? I mean, it's like crazy to think, like, I just went through a divorce. I had to sell my house. Maybe my kids have to go to a different school, or for those of you going through gray divorces, which are divorces for people in their 50s and above, my kids are getting married and I'm going through a divorce. I'm not feeling calm, so again, grounding exercises are really important. If you're new to dating, and you're just coming out of a divorce, your nervous system is often wired so that you are looking to avoid abandonment. You're looking to prove, like, maybe your ego was wounded because your spouse said they want a divorce, or your spouse was cheating on you, your ex-spouse now. So we want to prove, like, don't you see, like, I'm funny, I'm pretty, I'm this, I'm that. And that's not the place that I would recommend you come from on dates, to prove who you are, and to distrust the connection that you have with somebody. If you don't trust it, trust that. If you don't feel it, I want you to work on trusting yourself. So you don't choose your standards. Your nervous system is choosing your standards. What you can choose, however, though, is how to be more clear about where your nervous system is at and how to regulate it, how to get grounded. So we're going to talk about what dysregulated dating looks like, what regulated dating looks like when your nervous system is regulated, and then how to regulate it, and how to kind of tune in with yourself as you go through the process. So when you're in that survival mode, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, a dysregulated dating experience would look something like, you're being hypocritical. Maybe you say something and then you do the opposite. You're being very guarded. You don't let your guard down. You don't really share very openly. Somebody asks you, so tell me, like, why did your marriage end? Or tell me a little bit about your life. And you give very vague brief answers. Maybe you avoid intimacy in the dating process. Maybe you ghost somebody, and that happens a lot both ways. I imagine you've ghosted people and they've ghosted you if you're in the world of post-divorce dating. These are signs that your nervous system is not regulated, that you're not coming from a place of calm. It's more reactive than responsive. And sometimes when people are working from that place of not being regulated, they will accept anything. It's from really coming from a place of desperation. And ladies, let me tell you, you are not desperate. You are not desperate. So remind yourself of who you are. And if you forgot, or if you're forgetting, ask some of your dear friends, tell me who I am. Tell me what my strengths are. What do you see in me that I could be proud of? And that will help. Because if you just say, well, I mean, at least this guy calls me and, he's paying attention to me, but he's homeless and he doesn't have a job and he's an alcoholic and lives with his mother or whatever, don't settle for anything. You're better off being with yourself and enjoying your life with yourself, with your family, with your friends, with your children, finding new hobbies and passions and interests than settling to just be with anybody. But that is a sign of dating from a dysregulated nervous system. Sometimes certain patterns will show up too. Patterns like, I know I deserve better, but I don't know why. I just keep choosing men like this over and over again. This one's a narcissist and that one's a narcissist, and definitely a word that's overused. And we'll definitely talk about that over time. And yeah, notice the patterns. And if you keep finding yourself kind of looping through the same old cycle over and over again, I keep choosing the men who, have shirtless pictures and holding fish on their dating app profiles. Maybe it's time for a pause, time to kind of, again, reground yourself and ask yourself, what is it that I'm really seeking here? What is it that I'm afraid of? So noticing your patterns really can help. And that's what I think survival mode can look like. If and when you get to the place, and you will, if you do the work, I believe you will get to this place where you feel calm, you feel like you are in control of your life. A regulated nervous system in the dating world looks like this. It's Saturday night. You don't have a date. So what? So what? So it doesn't, maybe you don't have feelings about it. I remember in the first few years post-divorce, like the summer would come, it was a holiday, it was July 4th, there was a concert locally. And if I didn't have somebody to go with, I didn't go. And now, holy cow, I will say yes to anything that excites me, anything that I think I want to do. I'm saying yes to. Life is too short, ladies. It is too damn short to miss opportunities. So that's one of the ways it will look. It will look like you are not putting your life on hold to wait for Mr. Right or Ms. Right. It doesn't matter what gender you're seeking. Having a regulated nervous system also means that you're not in a rush. If you date and it leads to something, fine. And if it doesn't and you're single for a while, fine. You're not attached to any particular outcome. It's very Buddhist, if you will. So you're giving yourself a real chance to breathe post-divorce and get back to or create a new normal, a new routine. So you're not rushing. You are learning to enjoy your time with yourself and doing things that are out of the box for you. You might not have done before. When you were married, you might not have done, even if you were in a relationship with somebody post-divorce. Maybe they don't like the same concerts that you like. Just go. Something else too about what regulating your nervous system and dating will look like is that you're not auditioning for love. It's not, oh my gosh, what's he going to think of me? Do I look okay? Do I sound okay? Did I say the right thing? Maybe I asked too many questions. Maybe I didn't ask enough questions. This is not an audition. This is just you showing up authentically and not like wondering, again, desperately, like, did I pass the test? Did I pass the audition? Does he like me? Of course, some of that is normal, but too much of that is not okay. I want you to be more focused on how do you feel in your body, in your heart, your soul, your mind, in your nervous system when you sit with this person. I also want to say it's not about the chase. Sometimes we, women and men, I think, can get really almost addicted to the game of chasing. Oh, is this person going to respond to me? Oh, they did. Yes, it's exciting. And what are you going to do when they like you too? Oh, that's all I wanted to know. They're interested also, so I'm out. That game playing is coming from a place of dysregulation, of anxiety, of fear, and is not healthy. So notice that too. And also, I want you to know that you deserve more than crumbs. You've heard this kind of breadcrumbing that some people will just throw some breadcrumbs at you to make you interested enough to keep you around long enough, but they don't give you a whole slice or even half a loaf or even the entire loaf, which you deserve. So if they're just throwing a breadcrumb or two at you, not okay. Not okay. I want to say about love, healthy love is not boring. It's like, well, look at this is so exciting. I can chase and they can text me back and I can text them back. And all of this is so much fun and exciting. Is that really the goal? And is that even sustainable over time? I don't think so. I think that healthy love is where you feel safe and the person that you're with also feels safe with you. Two people feel safe. They're not bored. It's steady. It's not drama filled. It's peaceful and it's consistent. It's not chaotic and confusing. So these are lots of things to think about, the difference between dating when you're in survival mode versus dating when you have a regulated nervous system. So you might ask me, well, how do I regulate my nervous system, Stacey? I just came out of a 20-year marriage. My kids are losing their minds because they don't want to have to pack up and go to dad's house every other weekend. And I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills. And, he's still fighting me about alimony and all of these. It's overwhelming. Yes. And breathe, 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 and breathe. That will help you to just be in the moment. So one of the things I like to recommend is that people do what I call just a 20-second safety scan. And what this is that you sit in a chair, uncross legs, uncross arms. You have one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly, and you can close your eyes and you breathe, inhaling through your nose, exhaling through your mouth. And you simply do a scan from the top of your head down through the bottom of your feet. And you're going to notice, do I feel anxious, scared, calm, relaxed, peaceful? What do I feel? If you're feeling off, for lack of a better word, or dysregulated, this is not the time to date. It is not the time to swipe. It is not the time to text a guy back. It is not the time to take any action. It is the time instead to say, okay, well, what is it that I need? I need a walk. I need to be in nature. I need to journal. And I will offer you a journal prompt at the end of this episode again, too. I want you to name the state. What am I really feeling right now? And remind yourself, oh, this is just my nervous system. It's my nervous system remembering the past. It's not my present day. Look, I have a roof over my head. I have people that love me. I have enough food in my refrigerator. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. And if you don't know that, talk with a therapist, talk with a friend who can reassure you. And if you still don't feel okay, that person can help you come up with a plan so that you will make sure that you're okay. I call this the co-regulation circle, that you create a circle or a team of people that can help you check back with yourself. Friends, a therapist, changing your environment, whether it's being in nature or it's being, take yourself to a spa or going on a retreat, go to the gym, anything. Or hanging out with, and maybe your pets, your dog, your cat, whatever, whoever, whatever brings you comfort. And doing this, especially before you're going to go on a date or before you're going to have a conversation with somebody new, that can be profoundly helpful. So again, the 20-second safety scan, name the state, and then create your kind of co-regulation circle where you can just bounce ideas off of trusted friends or a therapist, and maybe even talk to your dog. Dogs have so many answers. They're so wise. And then lastly, guys, let's talk about the actual standard that I'm talking about. What are your standards here? So it's your nervous system that's setting the standards, but what standards are we even talking about? And really the way I would define standard is how your body feels when you are around a particular person or a situation. When you're at the restaurant on, your first date, how does your body feel? Do you feel calm? Do you feel like your muscles are tense or relaxed? Do you feel like conversation is easy and flowing, or I don't know what to say to this person? Your standards will naturally rise the more you feel calm, the more you regulate your nervous system. It's organic. It's not something you have to do, but what you do have to do, I would say, is self-care, is do the safety scans, do the check-ins, do the meditations, journal writing, therapy, exercise consistently, a spiritual practice, meditation, prayer. So we've talked about how much power your nervous system really has over your standards and what you'll settle for and what you won't settle for in the dating process. And I really think this is so critically important in getting clear about what your standards are. And then how to notice when you're dysregulated and when your nervous system is regulated, how to regulate it again, and how to just kind of check in with yourself when you're out on these dates. How do I feel in my body, in my heart, in my soul? So think a little bit about what we've talked about here today. Certainly let me know if you have thoughts, feelings, questions, or comments. You can email me, Stacey with an E, Stacey, at staceyrose.com. And certainly, I hope that you're journaling along the way. That it's so powerful and helpful. Today's journal prompt is, if I dated from a fully regulated place, what would my standards sound like in one sentence? I'll say it again. If I dated from a fully regulated place where I was really conscious, really calm, what would my standards sound like in one sentence? So for example, I might say, I won't date somebody who is politically different than I am. That's one of my standards. It's one of my values. I'm not going to just settle for somebody who sees things so differently than me. Or you might say, I won't date somebody who has never been married, because I feel like to go through a commitment in a marriage is important so that you know what I've been through as in my marriage and in divorce, even though all marriages and divorces are different. But again, my standards, I'm just giving you some examples. My standards might be something like, I won't go out with somebody who doesn't exercise, or I won't go out with somebody who smokes. Basically, some of them are very simple, but some of them are much deeper if you really do the reflecting. So thanks for joining me. Work on regulating your nervous system. I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care. Thanks for hanging out with me on Divorced Women Dating. Dating after divorce is definitely an adventure. And honestly, it is way more fun when we do it together. Hit subscribe so you don't miss a single moment of the helpful, hopeful, or just really relatable episodes. See you soon.